Trump announces possible date of his envoy Witkoff's visit to Russia. What Trump's deployment of nuclear subs near Russia means for the world, and Trump sets conditions for Russia to avoid US sanctions. The latest news next. The Trump administration wants to keep standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine as Ukrainians seek peace. U.S. Deputy State Department spokesperson Mignon Houston said in a comment to Post-Times.
This administration wants a long-lasting, enduring peace in the region. We want to continue standing shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine as Ukraine calls for a ceasefire that is comprehensive, that is full, that halts any assault on civilians, on critical infrastructure.
The Trump administration has usually been cautious in its statements about Ukraine and the war Russia started. After Trump returned to office, the White House and State Department avoided direct support for Ukraine, focusing instead on attempts to negotiate peace with Moscow. Trump shifts his stance on the war in Ukraine. During his election campaign, Trump promised to quickly end Russia's war against Ukraine if he returned to the White House. But after resuming office, he has failed to force Russian dictator Vladimir Putin to halt the invasion. Russia ignored Trump's call for an unconditional 30-day ceasefire to negotiate peace. Ukraine supported the initiative. In late July, Trump gave Russia a 50-day deadline to stop military operations against Ukraine. He later shortened it to 10 days. Now Russia has until August 8th to halt the offensive or face new sanctions, Trump warned. Meanwhile, Trump sent his special envoy Steve Witkoff to Moscow. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matthew Whitaker said Witkoff's visit could lead to progress. U.S. President Donald Trump has said that Steve Witkoff, his special envoy for the Middle East, is likely to visit Russia on the 6th or the 7th of August, reported by Trump speaking to journalists in New Jersey. Trump said Witkoff might visit Russia possibly on the 6th or the 7th of August, adding that the Russians asked for a meeting with Witkoff. When asked by journalists what would happen on Friday, the 8th of August, if Russia does not agree to a ceasefire, Trump replied that there will be sanctions.
There will be sanctions, but the Russians seem to be pretty good at avoiding sanctions. They're wily characters, and they're pretty good at avoiding sanctions. So we'll see what happens.
Trump once again emphasized that Russia's war against Ukraine is claiming many lives. That's a really horrible war, he added.
We stopped a lot of countries from war. India and Pakistan. We stopped a lot of countries, and we're going to get that one stopped too. Somehow, we're going to get that one stopped.
During the conversation with journalists, U.S. President Donald Trump stated that Russia could avoid sanctions if it signs a peace agreement with Ukraine. In particular, reporters asked the head of the White House whether there was anything the Russians could do to avoid further sanctions. In response, Trump said that the key to lifting sanctions lies in reaching a peace deal that would put an end to the losses on both sides.
Yeah, get a deal where people stop getting killed. They had a number that just came out that a tremendous number of Russian soldiers are being killed, and likewise Ukraine, a lower number, but still thousands and thousands of people. And now we're adding towns where they're being hit by missiles. So it's a lot of people being killed in that ridiculous war.
After an ultimatum from U.S. President Donald Trump, the Kremlin responded with threats and referenced the Soviet-era nuclear strike system. In response, the White House deployed nuclear submarines closer to Russia. What is known about the redeployment of American nuclear submarines closer to Russia in the ABC Ukraine report? Dispute between Trump and Medvedev. Initially, the American leader set a 50-day deadline for the Kremlin, demanding a ceasefire in Ukraine and threatening secondary sanctions against countries continuing trade with Russia. Later, Trump announced a new deadline for Russia to end the war, giving them 10 or 12 days to resolve the Ukraine issue, since he sees no progress. Additionally, he stated that he no longer intended to speak with the Russian dictator. Later, U.S. officials clarified that the 10-day deadline Trump announced expires on August 8th. The statements by the US president were sharply criticized by former Russian president and deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council Dmitry Medvedev, who called them an ultimatum game and threatened war with the United States.
Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war. Not between Russia and Ukraine, but with his own country. Don't go down the Sleepy Joe, Biden, Ed road.
Following this statement, the US president posted his reply to Medvedev on his social media platform, Truth Social.
I don't care what India does with Russia. They can take their dead economies together for all I care. Trump wrote, "We have done very little business with India. Their tariffs are too high, among the highest in the world. Likewise, Russia and the USA do almost no business together. Let's keep it that way." And tell Medvedev, the failed former president of Russia who thinks he's still president, to watch his words.
Trump wrote, adding that Medvedev is entering very dangerous territory. In response to Trump's comments on Truth Social, the Russian Security Council deputy chairman said that the US nervous reaction supposedly proves Russia is right.
If some words from the former president of Russia trigger such a nervous reaction from the high and mighty president of the United States, then Russia is doing everything right and will continue to proceed along its own path.
He also referenced the Soviet nuclear system perimeter known in the West as Dead Hand. Quote, "Let him remember his favorite zombie movies and the dead hand, how dangerous he fabled dead hand can be," Medvedev added. The perimeter system was designed to guarantee the launch of nuclear missiles in case the command was destroyed, even without direct human involvement. In the event of a massive strike on Russia, the system was meant to provide an automatic response, essentially a revenge hand. Trump deploys 2 nuclear submarines closer to Russia in response to Medvedev's threats. Trump called them highly provocative and ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be moved closer to Russia.
I have ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions, just in case these foolish and inflammatory statements are more than just that. Words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances.
Commenting on Medvedev's post, he effectively stated that the United States is prepared for a nuclear war with Russia. Medvedev was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared. We are totally prepared, Trump added. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio emphasized that a nuclear war between the US and Russia would be a fathomable thing. However, without the use of nuclear weapons, Russia has no chance against the US. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham said that President Trump seeks peace, not conflict with Russia. At the same time, he advised the Kremlin not to joke with the American leader. On Saturday, August 2nd, in an interview with Newsmax, President Trump stated that the US nuclear submarines are now closer to Russia. Trump noted that Medvedev said very bad things regarding nuclear weapons. He stressed that the US must always be prepared, which is why he sent 2 nuclear submarines to the region. I just want to make sure that Medvedev's words are just words and nothing more, Trump said. On Sunday, August 3rd, journalists asked the White House whether the 2 nuclear submarines had already been deployed closer to Russia. They, submarines, are in the region, yeah, where they have to be, Trump said, but did not specify the exact location. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, officials welcomed the American leader's decision.
The concept of peace through strength works. As soon as American nuclear submarines appeared, one Russian drunkard who promised nuclear war immediately went silent. Russia only understands strength.
Earlier, the Institute for the Study of War assessed that the threats by Russia's Deputy Security Council chairman toward the US are part of a broader Kremlin campaign of nuclear saber-rattling. Analysts remind that Kremlin officials often use this tactic as a form of reflexive control aimed at forcing the West to make decisions favorable to Russia. Meanwhile, CNN believes Trump may be using the conflict with Russia as a tool to project toughness without escalating tensions personally with Putin. This also gives the White House room to divert attention from domestic issues, including scandals such as the Epstein case. Despite the nuclear rhetoric, experts do not predict immediate escalation. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video. Support Ukraine, like and subscribe.